I call this meeting to order at 2 p.m. Sadia, can we have land acknowledgement?
Before we get started with our meeting, Associated Students Incorporated at Sacramento State would like to take a moment to give honor and respect to the ancestors and to the diverse indigenous people connected to this territory on which we live. The original stewards of this land belong to the Mi'kmaq, Tappan, and Mi'kmaq Native Americans. Keep them in your mind, carry them in your heart, and we ask that you take a moment to consider your ancestors and your relationship to the land you're on. Thank you.
Thank you. Samantha, can you have the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Samantha, do we have a moment of silence?
Unfortunately, yes. I was notified by our Director of Undeclared Students, Druvisha, to hold a moment of silence for William Bill Dorman. He was the chair of Friends of the Library and passed away at the age of 81 on Tuesday, April 26. He taught journalism and political science classes at Sac State for 4 decades and retired in 2007. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, can we have roll call?
Thank you. Elizalde. Here. Sayas.
Present.
Soltero.
Here.
Carr.
Here.
Ashraf.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Pang.
Here.
Sharma.
Here.
Maddox.
Here.
Bindle. De La Garza Garcia.
Here.
Budani.
Here.
Cabrera. McCris.
Here.
Curry.
Here.
Gallardo.
Here.
Montalvo.
Here.
Lenmark.
Here.
Aurora.
Here.
Reyes. Taryn.
Here.
Dunning.
Here.
Dalton. Rocha.
Here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we will be moving to the approval of minutes for the 4/27/2022 board meeting and 5/04/2022 working board meeting. And if there are no objections, the minutes will be approved. Yes. Since there are no objections, the minutes have been approved. Now we will be moving on to public comment. Members of the audience may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board or on any agenda item. If you wish to address the board, please sign the speaker identification sheet, which will be at the podium. Thank you. And then once you sign the speaker identification sheet, please introduce yourself to the board.
Davis. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool, just checking. Okay, so I'm here in support of the resolution recommending LGBTQ+ education and support through campus-wide efforts. I have a friend on campus who spends a lot of time in one building,
To access a gender neutral bathroom, they have to walk out of the building, walk at least 5 buildings over, which takes about 10 minutes one way. There are bathroom deserts on campus where transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary students have no bathrooms within the near vicinity. The Transgender Task Force's final report in May of 2018 called for many changes, a lot more than just bathroom changes. We must honor the work that's been done in the past to further inclusion on campus and implement changes. None of this is new. I'm here talking about old ideas from other voices that have yet to be listened to. Sac State, as we say, is an anchored university. But what does that mean? Unless we take action to make our campus inclusive for everyone, that's just a performance, a bedtime story. If we want to be an anchored university, we need to be an active ally, and we need to not engage in performative activism. As was said in the convocation, we need to be co-conspirators. It is vital that we as a campus community come together and prove that people who are trans, gender nonconforming, non-binary are included, supported, and have a place in this campus. Additionally, men who have sex with men should not face archaic and really scientifically outdated laws and codes which prohibit them from donating blood under certain circumstances. These are barriers that are stigmatizing and are artifacts from decades ago, which are not at all supported by science. I wholeheartedly support this resolution.
Thank you, Brianna. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we can move on to the special presentation. University Police Department Policies and Procedures Reports by Samantha Elizalde. After you sign your name on the podium, you can begin and introduce yourself to the board.
Hello, y'all. My name is Samantha Elizalde. I'm the ASI president. And today, I will be presenting my review of the University Police Department policies and procedures and executed initiative that I've been a part of throughout my term. So this is actually required within the strategic priorities and would finally complete that priority, so I'm kind of happy about that. So looking over the policies, this is straight from the website that I added right there. It says the Sacramento State Police Department Policy Manual is guided by Lexipol, which is based on constitutional law and a best practice philosophy. Lexipol is the industry standard and is currently used by the majority of California law enforcement agencies. The Sacramento State Police Department Policy Manual is subject to frequent updates based upon the state or federal laws and or best practices and the most up-to-date policies finalized by Sacramento State. Will be posted on the webpage. And I added that it was last updated January 2022 to reflect the bills that had went through the legislature on police reform and things that impacted the police. In terms of policies, it's maybe like a 600-page document, and as you know, that's a lot. I didn't go through all of it, to be honest, being completely honest. I tried to just see where, things in terms of use of force, trainings, and etc. But I will be speaking with the chief of police as to like how we can kind of condense it and like more readable for students as to what kind of policies impact them like directly. So I think making it a little bit more readable and understandable for the average student would be a little bit better in terms of understanding the policies that impact us. So yes, and this is short because we're running on time, so sorry for the... Can you go to the next slide? Oh, never mind. There we go. Oh, I went too far. There you go. Thank you. So in regards to the training, this is also from the website. Sacramento State Police Department officers are required to complete training in many areas, including but not limited to perishable skills, legislative mandates, refresher trainings, cultural diversity, and specialized training based upon assignments. Our officers routinely attend training presented by POST, which is the kind of overall officer, that's what POST is called, the guiding kind of principles, and several other local agencies. After speaking with Chief Madison, they do trainings on, cultural awareness and all that, but I would like to like collaborate with the Division of Inclusive Excellence for some type of cultural awareness or competency training. Now that we have a bias response director, and we'll be expanding that division. So that's something I would like to see in the future. In terms of the training, they have that, as you can see right there, it's a 4-phase training, not including the orientation, which is all about, learning to be a university police officer, but it doesn't explicitly state cultural awareness or any diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So that's why I put that recommendation there as to for that. So I really wanted to more focus on the Police Advisory Council because they have included me so much in this process, from writing the mission to writing the purpose to the composition of it, and I really appreciate being a part of it, and I really think y'all should know about it now that it's kind of expanding. If you didn't know, the Police Advisory Councils are now required within the 23 CSU systems. So ours is just rolling out. We had our first meeting this semester, and hopefully they have more, after. But the mission of it is that the Sacramento State Police Advisory Council is to build trusting relationships between the campus community and the Sacramento State Police Department through engagement, transparency, and collaboration. So one of the things that we asked for in the strategic priorities is to, review the policies and the procedures and training, advocate for transparency. The Police Advisory Council, as you can see, it says transparency. So that was one thing that was added. For the purpose of it, we do, talk about the truth, how historically policing and law enforcement have not always safeguarded all peoples and communities equally. And we were very intentional about, the relationships of the police and individuals, and how historically they have faced injustice in the hands of law enforcement. So that's straight in the purpose of it. And we also wanted to be a forum for our diverse community to provide input and recommendations as to what we want to see from the police department itself and the chief of police. So thought that was very valuable. Yeah, you have some time to read it. Send this out, but I'm trying to be quick. For the objectives, I just wanted to highlight a few. I bolded them. We would act as a liaison to enhance campus community relations with the Sacramento State Police Department, provide recommendations for police departments' interaction with the campus community that would foster an atmosphere conducive to the intercultural, cultural, and personal development of its students, faculty, and staff. Another one that I think is crucial that we added kind of last minute was review data on police citizen engagements, such as complaints, critical incidents, and officer commendations within the limits of its collective bargaining provisions and applicable laws, and publish annual reports of key activities and recommendations. So this committee is very intentional with what they're going to do. We're able to review, data as to what we can see, but there is some limits as to what can be public. And when there's a current investigation, there's kind of things where you can't say things until it's completed, and we're all aware of that. And we added that in the objectives as well as the purpose. So I'm glad these are the objectives of the committee, and hopefully we see some reports come out of it in the near future. Some other advocacy and initiatives that I've been working on personally within my role as president. I met with the chief of police to discuss the recently passed legislative bills on police reform that will impact UPD directly or indirectly. There was various ones from SB 2, AB 89, AB 48, AB 490, AB 26, and AB 958. There's an article, if you're interested in seeing it, please let me know as to how the recent events have impacted these forms of legislation. And another thing I've been working on is advocating for social workers to be staffed by the University Police Department for better de-escalation tactics and mental health support. So I actually met with a lot of campus stakeholders on this initiative, including Jonathan Bowman, VP of what's this title? Sorry.
Administration of Business Affairs.
Oh, there you go, ABA, Administration of Business Affairs, Vice President of ABA. And I also was Mia Settles Tidwell, VP of Inclusive Excellence. It was President Nelson, myself, and we talked about this initiative, and the Chief of Police, forgetting about, but we all met to talk about it. They're all in really big support, as well as Joyce or James from Student Health Counseling. And it looks like it's something that's going to go through. They're creating a job description and including it in the budget discussions. But, this is like kind of showing our advocacy working. And I'm really proud of this. And I told President Nelson if there's one thing I can end my term on, it would be getting social worker staff by UPD. So I hope to see it happen in the near future. But yeah, that's what I've been working on personally. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Are there any questions for Samantha? Sandra?
Not a question, but a comment about how hard you've seen me work on these issues from the beginning of, you hit the ground running as soon as you were sworn in on this issue because you're very passionate and you have moved the ball tangibly forward by your advocacy and continually pushing it and releasing the survey and being able to put evidence behind your advocacy. So I want to just commend you for the amount of work that you've done because change is hard, system change especially, but you've definitely left your mark at Sacramento State. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, Sandra. Gina?
I'm curious, Samantha, in discussions with the social worker on site with UPD, would these be 24/7 social workers like the police work?
So for this, and it was kind of a brief, kind of lengthy discussion on that because as you know, classification of employees can determine how long they can work. So we thought it would be best within the University Police Department, but to be covered after the 9 to 5. So they would basically start a little bit before the police department, like they don't close, but the 9 to 5 after 5 p.m. And then they go on through the night because we get most calls at the night when in terms of mental health and all that. So. Yeah.
Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what's been said because you're an incredible leader. I was curious because you said, I hope they continue. So I'm wondering, was there a set cadence for when they met, like once a month? Or I feel like having a set cadence sort of demonstrates their commitment to having this advisory council and making it a big part of their decision making. So if you have any information on that.
So the requirement of the Chancellor's Office is to meet quarterly, and we were kind of having discussion as to if it's fiscal year, academic year, but I think as a committee, especially when we first met, we knew this is something that needs to meet more often, and I think in future conversations, especially because it's over now for this academic year and it won't start until next academic year, I hope they would have it at least once a month, but it's kind of working as they go and seeing how it goes, but the requirement is quarterly.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Seeing none, thank you so much, Samantha, for your hard work. Now moving on, we'll be moving to consent calendar, and there are currently no items to add to consent calendar. Are there any items that would like to be added to consent calendar? Hearing none, we can move on to new business. And the first of new business would be 2021-22-5145, sorry. So for new business, the ones for withdrawal would have to be 2021-22-5143, Car Elizalde University Committee appointments, and 2021-22-5144, Car Elizalde recommendations to the President for University Committee appointments. And with that, we can move to new business, 2021-22-5145, Sayas Elizalde Maddox Cabrera, resolution recommending LGBTQ+ education and support through campus-wide efforts. And with this, I would like to relinquish the chair to the vice chair.
So we will be doing new business 2021, 22, 5, 145, Sayers, Hills, Holiday, Maddox, Cabrera, resolution recommending LGBTQ plus education and support through campus-wide efforts. Do I ask for a second? Oh, do we have a motion?
Oh, I motion to approve. Oh my goodness. I move to approve resolution recommending LGBTQ education and support through campus-wide efforts.
Second? Is there any discussion? Joseph?
Hello. So I decided to author this resolution because as ASI, we should be listening to students. And even though the campus has provided solutions to support LGBTQ students, and as a gay male, I am very happy, but there still needs to be more education and support through campus-wide efforts. So the Pride Center was created to maintain a campus environment that is open, safe, and supportive for student diversity in regards to sexual orientation and gender identity and expression. The Pride Center celebrated Pride Week on April 18th through the 22nd to celebrate the social and self-acceptance and achievements and legal rights and history for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, and queer LGBTQ plus individuals. And the Pride Center also hosts Lavender graduation, which was yesterday, and to celebrate the academic achievements of our LGBTQ students. So the Pride Center has had difficulties putting on aforementioned events due to underfunding, and the Pride Center, especially this year, has struggled with funding or with activities, especially when it comes to planning, because there's not enough support through campus at times. And in 2016, the California State University Sacramento Transgender Inclusion Task Force was created in mind to develop communication strategies and supportive materials to ensure that the campus would be trans inclusive. And in 2018, the Transgender Inclusive Task Force had their final recommendations given to Sacramento State, where the recommendations were supposed to be completed by 2020, and less than half of those recommendations were actually applied. And so Sacramento State, especially when it comes to restroom availability, was out of compliance due to AB 1732. And that's just one issue that Sacramento State is having. That would call for the need to be more trans-inclusive when it comes to pronouns, when it comes to stating which bathroom is gender-inclusive, making sure that campus has more gender-inclusive restrooms. There are also lack of LGBTQ specific scholarships, and to support students, when you look for a scholarship, it is either off campus or you have to look for them. There is also a lack of LGBTQ information and education for faculty and staff to support students. In 2019, the University Union was able to partner with ASI in collaborating with Vitalent for the blood drives on Sacramento State, and the blood drives happen 3 times a year, 3 times an academic year, and there has not been enough information, especially when regarding eligibility before students have to take the blood donation health questionnaire. And as a gay male myself, if I didn't have the education that I presented to myself, I would be going in blindly, wanting to support the blood drives, wanting to support people who may need blood, and then during the questionnaire being turned down because of the FDA guidelines, which is where men who have sex with men who identify as MSM cannot donate blood unless they defer from sexual intercourse for 3 months. And specifically when you go into blood donations, there needs to be a better source of information and education when giving students, especially MSMs, that kind of information. I don't want to be a student that is taking the questionnaire, answering yes to that question, and then being turned away. I talked to Xenia, who is a part of the union, the university union, who helps come up with the blood drive. She said that it has happened where students were turned away and that there was not enough information from the volunteers because the volunteers may not know themselves about the deferment, where a student was turned away, had no idea why, and was not given answers appropriately. So what I'm calling for is just for more information, and especially there should be more initiatives that is a collaborative group and not just put on the Pride Center, especially when it comes to education and support for LGBTQ students. And what I want to call for, especially with the resolution, is for Sacramento State to make re-examinations of the final recommendations for the Transgender Inclusive Task Force and look to see what they can implement. Look to see what can be done at Sacramento State. For the blood drives, I would love to see pamphlets given to students. Even information before students have to donate blood, what kind of eligibility there are. Myself as a student, finding out this information, I had to find out information that there's actually a study that is being done by Vitalent, One Blood, and the Red Cross, which is called Accessing Donor Variability and New Concepts in Eligibility. And the study is called Advance, and practically that study is where men who have not deferred for 3 months of sexual intercourse are able to engage in this study, and they're able to see if this FDA-approved guideline is archaic, is not scientifically proven anymore. And I think that would be great for students to learn and engage with and try to find out what they can do with their eligibility. And if I did not go for this information, if I did not go to the university union, if I wasn't in contact with Vitalent, if I wasn't looking on their website, I would not know about this study itself, and I would not know about my eligibility. And I think that when it comes to the blood donations, there is a blood donation committee, and I'm calling for at least a student representative to sit on that committee, and for a Pride Center representative to sit on that committee to ensure that voices of LGBTQ students are being listened to and heard. And these are just ways to help students become more engaging, especially having faculty and staff learn more about LGBTQ identities, expressions, because as a gay individual, LGBTQ history is not taught enough to where you have to go specifically to a class for it. You have to look for the information yourself. And I know that we're all college students, and the answer is, well, you should be looking online. Online is accessible. This information for someone that may be out or not out newly would not have this kind of education. And I think that we should make it more viable for students. And also, I was able to look at the Campus Pride Index, which is each university and campus has a Pride Index that shows how LGBT inclusive they are on campus. So Sacramento State has a 3.5, which sounds great, which sounds like Sacramento State is doing a great job. And I have felt supportive, but there's not enough information to the point where 3.5 to one person sounds great. However, it's just check marks. So one of them would be, do you have an LGBTQ frat? Well, Sacramento State does. However, it doesn't go more in depth. How badly is that fraternity struggling? Do you have a Pride Center? Yes. How badly is that Pride Center struggling and is being underfunded? Do you have any outreach for LGBTQ students and student organizations? Yes. But how is that outreach being put forth? So even though we have a 3.5 on the Pride Index, it's still an issue because there's not enough information, and a lot of the LGBTQ clubs and organizations are struggling, are hanging through a thread. And as we close on and we are coming up on Pride Month, I do want the school to recognize more that the school needs to do a little bit more when it comes to LGBTQ initiatives, especially since there's always going to be a struggle for LGBTQ students. Let's make it easier.
Any further discussions? Rob?
Hi, Joseph, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I think it's vital that we have these kind of conversations and continue to not look simply at our deficits as in what we're not doing, but to sort of look at what has been done and create even more opportunities for inclusion and for people feeling like they really belong and are celebrated. Just a clarification for me, you said 3.5, but you didn't really tell us out of how much. So if it's out of 10, I'm worried. If it's out of 5, then we have room to improve, but we're doing all right. So
Joseph,
clarify.
It's out of 5, and that's why I said it makes it sound great. However, it's just a checklist to see if you have things. It doesn't ask or further go on to see if it is supported. And of course, they do have a couple items that if it's not checked off, then maybe that's where Sacramento State would be more in-depth to be more inclusive in trying to take their work onto that network.
are there any further discussions? Sam?
I just want to thank Joseph for the work that you've done with this resolution, and, you know, as Rob said, highlighting what Sac State has been doing good, but, you know, as you said, as you are a female, also highlighting your experience and the experiences of others, and that's very powerful. I think it's important that we recognize, you know, the work that is being done, but, you know, call them in as to where they can do better, highlighting LGBTQI+ voices. And I did say this the last meeting, but I do want to say it in this meeting as well. The school is doing a gender-inclusive bathroom study as to how much it would cost the university to put more gender-inclusive restrooms around campus, or even just looking at the ones we have now and how, if they're accessible to the public, if they're not. So just to, you know, add that to what's being done now to push this forward. So thank you.
Joseph?
And again, Sacramento State is actually LGBTQ friendly. Where else on a campus, especially when it may be of a certain type of creed, where students are able to celebrate like lavender graduation, students are able to have a pride center, students are able to have a president acknowledge their identity. But again, we're doing such a great job that as we progress in society, we have to keep moving forward.
Bill?
Thank you for that. I have one question in one area that I would challenge, but it's not in the question I have is in the resolution. You said we have a little bit more to do. I think we have more than a little bit more to do. I think we've got to continue to move forward. It's got to be part of the conversation. It's got to be part of the mindset. Whenever we're entering into anything, I think we need to be thinking about our communities, and I really commend you for this. The question that I have, and I think it was brought up last week, you identify the Pride Center as being underfunded, and I know that there was some question about that language, and as this is going to be voted on, I just wanted some clarity. Were they funded at a certain level and it's been cut back, or is it just that they should be more funded, not that they're underfunded. I know it's semantics, but it's, I think, important to identify so that we're not, because it's a strong statement to say you're underfunding something versus you're continually funded at this level, but it should be higher. That's a different statement. And I just wanted to, before a vote, at least have a chance to discuss that.
Joseph?
So I did change the language around because I specifically said like how yearly it is underfunded. But I mean, if I had more time, I would actually call into the fact that the triple SP programs are underfunded. They're not given enough money. So it's not the fact that they should have more money or that they need to reach a certain level, but they're not being given enough. So if I had enough time, I would have created another resolution calling for the fact to look at the funding for all triple SP programs. And I am standing by the statement that they're underfunded and need to be looked at.
Thank you.
Rob?
This is why I love this kind of body, right? Because even though some of you are graduating, some of you can take this up and continue this conversation next year. And I really hope that we can honor the work that's being achieved by the leaders of this board by doing so. So if there's information, if there's data, if there's something that you didn't feel like you got to, like saying that, creating a resolution for that, maybe there's a place where you can start creating a list, and everyone here who gets to have the privilege of being on this board next year can take those and make sure that those priorities are met as well.
Sam?
I just wanted to clarify, Joseph said triple SP, it's Strategic Student Support Programs.
Sorry.
Do we have any further discussions? Joseph?
I might have to make an additional motion if possible because for the resolved, I forgot to add inclusive excellence.
So you want to move to amend?
Yes. I would
Are you adding a whole resolved or just somewhere?
Just names to the result for the last resolve. And I would like to amend the last resolve to add the Department of Inclusive Excellence. So that would be Mia Settles Tidwell and also Robert Reyes.
Division.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions on the new? Gina?
I'd like, on this amendment, I'd want to know where would it be inserted on the resolve?
Could I add it to the end?
Rob?
Yeah, sorry, I would put it after Ed Mills.
Any further discussion?
So he's going to amend your amendment to include adding it under Ed Mills.
Okay, so we're
He's not a board member.
No, I meant Joseph.
Okay, so I would like to amend my amendment and add inclusive Department of Inclusive Division of Inclusive Excellence, Robert Reyes and Mia Settles Tidwell after Ed Mills.
Okay. Thank you.
Please make sure you put Vice President Settles to
Yes. I would be, okay.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussions? Okay, there are no further discussions. Oh yeah, we're voting on the amendment. And, okay, so just raise your hands if you're in favor. Raise your hands if you are opposed. It has been passed.
And now we're going back to the main motion.
Which is this. So, okay. So do I just have to click the same thing? Okay, great. So, we, 2021-22-5-145, Saya Salazade Maddox Cabrera, resolution recommending LGBTQ+ education and support through campus-wide efforts. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed? It has been passed.
So are you keeping the chair?
I will relinquish the chair if there are no objections. Okay, I guess.
Kevin first. Okay, I'm back. Okay, now we will be moving on to 2021-22-5-146, CAR resolution in support of AB 1746, Cal Grant Reform Act. Is there a motion? Lafrite?
I move to approve 2021-22-5-146 CAR resolution in support of AB 1746 Cal Grant Reform Act.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Lafrite?
Thank you, Joseph. So this resolution is about the Cal Grant, the resource we have. Lots of students receive it, and it's really great, helpful, and because they can like pay their fees, housing, which is really such a great thing to have. However, there are some students who have restrictions on it. They can't receive it. So this resolution is about removing those barriers so that all the students can receive this Cal Grant. To talk about on this resolution more, I would like to invite Siddhartha Vaz, if Chair allows.
Yes. I'm sorry. And then after you have signed the speaker identification sheet, please introduce yourself to the board.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandra Nawaz. I'm the Legislative Affairs Coordinator here at Sac State, and Lafrite and I authored this resolution for the support of AB 1746, which is the Cal Grant Reform Act. So some of you guys might be familiar with this. I talked about it last week, and this is also the second bill we've had in a row, like a year. Last year it was AB 1456, which was the Cal Grant Reform Act. That did not pass. So now this is the second time we're getting a Cal Grant Reform Act in the legislative cycle. So we're hoping that this one passes. Essentially, it will establish a Cal Grant 2 and Cal Grant 4 program, 2 for students who are in community college and 4 for students who are in four-year universities and institutions. The process will hopefully be streamlined because of this. We'll have one application for the entire program. It will remove barriers for students, so age out of high school, GPA, those factors would no longer be considered for eligibility. That would expand the amount of students who would receive that by at least 150,000 students. And it will also take into the fact that the current Cal Grant program simply isn't up to date with the needs that students have right now. It doesn't take into consideration non-tuition costs. Currently, the average student at the CSU and community college level will spend more on housing than they do on tuition. And for a UC student, they will spend the same amount on housing as they would tuition. It also doesn't take into consideration that summer school is still a huge cost on students. Many students take summer school in order to accelerate their degree or accommodate minors, and the Cal Grant Act right now does not cover summer school fees. Overall, the current program simply doesn't include a lot of diverse students. It doesn't include parents, returning students, non-traditional students, anyone who may have suffered in the pandemic academically. They would not be eligible for financial aid currently because they might have failed a class, be on academic probation, and then now would be expected to work in order to cover their tuition costs. But as we know, students are capped at 20 hours for employment on campus, and to work more than 20 hours is also very hard and is a severe burden on students if they do intend on succeeding academically. So overall, our goal is for the Cal Grant Reform Act to address all of these issues and reform the program through the budget. As some of you may know, that currently today and tomorrow is Sac State virtual lobby day at the Capitol, and we've been having meetings. We had about 15 meetings today with legislators, and I was in a few of them, and we did bring this up with staffers and assembly members, and for many of them, the feedback that they gave us was that this is a very similar bill to last year's, which was AB 1456. And because there wasn't that much change, we might not expect to see this pass. But we're still hopeful that because there has been so much overwhelming student support for this bill, continuously, year after year, CSSA, Cal State Student Association, they co-sponsored this bill. The Lobby Corps supports this bill. Hopefully, we will support this bill. And we hope that, with that, when we go and we meet the legislators tomorrow and we continue our meetings, we'll be able to show them that students do support this bill. This is a huge need for students. It's not just about cost of tuition, it's also about being able to afford your housing so that you can have a stable place to live, so that you can attend college. So with that in mind, I really hope that you all will support this and vote in favor. And additionally, as an update, the May revision for the budget will be coming out this Friday, which is really important in the state legislature because we're hoping that the budget that the governor releases will reflect our ask for the Cal Grant, since we are hoping that this will go through the budget process, as well as other bills that we've talked about. AB 1602, we wrote a resolution in support of that. SB 641, all of these bills, we're hoping that we'll have the governor's support this Friday. So, thank you.
Gina?
What's the price tag on this?
So there's no official price tag because this is going through the budget. So we're hoping that, when the governor releases the budget in May, this Friday, that what he allocates will be enough to support this program.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Citra.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we can move into a vote. All those in favor of supporting 2021-22-5146 CAR resolution in support of AB 1746 Cal Grant Reform Act, please raise your hand. (15) in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been approved. Now moving on to 2021-22-5147 Elizalde resolution supporting AB 1844 Medina Higher Education Student, Staff, and Faculty Protection Act. Is there a motion? Samantha?
I move to approve 2021-22-5147 Elizalde resolution supporting AB 1844 Medina Higher Education Student, Staff, and Faculty Protection Act.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha?
So again, just reiterating that I just want to provide a quick trigger warning because I'll be mentioning sexual assault and sexual harassment. So this bill really came out of the issues that are happening within the Chancellor's Office and within other CSUs in terms of sexual harassment and sexual assault. So What AB 1844 would do, it would call for stricter employment processes in the 3 post-secondary education institutions, being the University of California, or the UC, the California State University, or the CSU, and the California Community College System, the CCC. So according to the bill, before one of these institutions offers employment to an applicant, they must sign an agreement whether or not they've been subject to a formal or informal Title IX sexual harassment complaint. And if the applicant seeking employment through the said institution denies to said agreement, they cannot continue with the hiring processes. And if an applicant was involved in a Title IX sexual harassment complaint for any formal complaint or any formal complaint, the hiring institution is required to request information on the allegation from the applicant's current or previous employer. So this would just create stricter processes in terms of those who have been, involved in a Title IX case, and ensuring, we are hiring people that, would not pose a threat to the community or, just overall have a safer campus community. The next thing that this bill would do, it would require each campus of the CSU and the CCC and encourage the UC to create support rules to assist in instances of sexual harassment allegations or victimization. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of, I gathered some data. According to a study done by the Association of American Universities that surveyed 33 of the prominent research universities, found that 13% of students have experienced some form of sexual assault and 41.8% have experienced sexual harassment. In the same study done by the AAU, it was highlighted that across the various work environments, academia at 58% was only second to the military at 69%. So that shows that this is a big issue within, higher education and academics, that, hopefully this bill moves to solve some of that. So I request your support, and thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Gina?
I move to amend the resolution in the last resolve to add the Vice President for Administration and Business Affairs and CFO, Jonathan Bowman, after Dr. Mills. And in addition to that, I'd like to add Senior Director of Human Resources, Michelle Martin, after Jonathan Bowman.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved.
Can I make a correction to that? Senior Associate Vice President, Michelle Martin, and it's Michelle, M-A-C-H-E-L-L-E.
Yes. Right. No. Okay. It has been moved and seconded. All of those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. $15 in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion to the amendment has been approved. The amendment is approved. Now we're back to the main motion.
So sorry. Just noticing an error. It says Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity, Mary Lee Vance. It should read Interim Director.
That's a typo. Go ahead.
That is a typo that we can fix.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Bill?
I would also consider the amendment to add Vice President for the Division of Equity and I'd move to admit the VP for the Division of Equity and Inclusion, Mia Sells-Tidwell, to whom OEO reports.
Where in the resolution? In the resolve?
After Ed Mills again.
Yeah.
After Ed Mills. Is there a second?
Second. No, we can't.
The
Second.
the amendment of the motion has been seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. $15 in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the amendment has been approved. Now back to the main motion. Are there any questions or further questions? Seeing none, we can move into a vote. All those in favor of supporting 2021-22-05147, resolution supporting AB 1844, Medina Higher Education Student, Staff, and Faculty Protection Act, please raise your hand. In favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been approved. Now we will be moving on to 2021-22-5148, Elizalde resolution supporting a campus-wide land acknowledgement. Is there a motion? Samantha.
I move to approve 2021-22-5148, Elizalde resolution supporting a campus-wide land acknowledgement.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha.
So for this one, I was hoping to have an official one that went through the tribal councils by now, but unfortunately, it's been delayed a bit and will hopefully be done by the end of May. So I did not want to scrap this because I wanted to continue to the next board and, go to the people who have been working on it so far to show our support for it. So I just kind of made it into an overall resolution supporting a campus-wide land acknowledgement, acknowledging the land that we are on, the Miwok, Southern Maidu, Nishinan, and Pawin-Wintu people, but also acknowledge the work that has been done so far for our Native community on campus, including, the Native Scholars in Transition program, the fact that Sacramento State will soon be home to a Native Success Center, and how this aligns with our anti-racism and inclusive campus initiative. I also included where we are as of May of 2022. A draft of the campus-wide land acknowledgement is going through the local tribal nations for feedback and approval. And that hopefully once this is done, that ASCSU should adopt it and be read at our formal board meetings to be unified with the campus. So I can answer any questions, but yes.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Rob?
Sorry, I just need a clarification. So you're not including the actual land acknowledgement statement, you're just saying you're in favor of us having one. Is that correct?
Samantha?
Yes, because there is no official one yet. It's still being, revised and drafted. So I didn't want to include the draft yet. But this is just, I didn't want to scrap it as well. I wanted to, continue to show our support for it. So.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Gina?
So as a body that's had the land acknowledgements in place for 2 years now, I think, maybe 3 more, 4, do I understand this is to encourage campus to do the same, or just to align that once one is established as an official, that everybody gets on the same page to the one?
Samantha?
The second one. So yes, we do have a land acknowledgement, and if you notice, we're not stating the right nations. So it should be Southern Maidu and Patwin-Wintu. So if you go to different events, you're always hearing different ones, and I think that it's important that we're unified as a campus, acknowledging the true stewards of this land, but be unified as a campus with that as well.
Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, I just wanted to add in that the Department of Ethnic Studies and others have been working on this for some time now. However, culturally speaking, time works differently in Indigenous culture, so there's a lot of conversation. So as much as we'd like to settle on one, we have to take the time that is necessary in order to come to that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I see the last resolve? Okay, nothing. Samantha?
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, Rob, because I do want to quickly acknowledge all the work that Dr. Annette Reed has done with this in helping us even just connect with the different, nations that we have, and, even just getting this through the council. And she did say how time works differently, so it's important that we respect that process and go through it as necessary. But I just wanted to be sure we provide our support for it as, so it doesn't die off in the next board or future or whatever. So Lisa can have it timestamped too, so she can follow up. So yeah.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Bill?
Not a question, just a comment for anybody here that might be part of that process moving forward. And it's a semantics thing that this is mostly a gripe session on my part right now. When we talk about the tribes, they refer to the tribes as a that instead of a who. This tribe, this group that occupied these lands instead of who occupied these lands. They're people. They're, as we are trying to pay respect, it feels as though we should be treating them with who instead of that. And I've been at events as recently as yesterday where they were referred to as that instead of who, and it's just keeps coming up in my head, so I wanted to articulate it again. I don't know if anyone here will be in the room having those discussions, but if you are, please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, we can move on to a vote. All those in favor of supporting 2021-22 5148 Elizalde resolution supporting a campus-wide land acknowledgement, please raise your hand. (14) in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been approved. Now we will be moving on to 2021-22 5149 Soltero Operating Rule Change 400.11 ASI Scholarship Committee. Is there a motion? Faith?
I move to approve 2021-2022 05-149 Operating Rule Change 400.11 ASI Scholarship Committee.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Yes. I'm looking at it. Oh, Faith?
Okay, so I am recommending the following changes. Well, first let me give a background. ASI offers various scholarships open to all Sacramento State students. It is our motive to ensure each scholarship offered to students follows our viewpoint neutrality requirements and is inclusive to all Sacramento State students. It is our mission to provide experiential learning, leadership opportunities, and support services to our growing community. By providing additional financial assistance for the academic achievements of the individuals chosen, the ASI scholarships will help carry out this mission. So I'm recommending the following changes. If you go a little bit down. Well, I don't think it's, okay. So these are some of the changes that I am pointing out. So instead of 12 units for undergrad students, we are doing 7 units. And instead of 6 units, we're doing 4 units for grad students in order to apply for the scholarships. I also changed instead of having a strict word count, we are going to do a recommendation of a word count, 500 to 750 maximum. I also am changing some of the questions on the scholarships, as some of the questions I've read, they're not really open to all students in my opinion. So if we go down more, a little bit more. So this is an example of one. This is for the Dreamer Scholarship. So instead of individuals explaining their experience as an undocumented student or a student in mixed status, I'm creating the question to where it relates to their understanding of life experiences of undocumented students and or students who live in a mixed status family in the United States. Students will explain how their academic and extracurricular activities inform their understanding of the American dream. And if you go down more, a little bit more. Just like the Dreamer Scholarship, I'm also changing the wording to the U.S. Armed Forces and Veteran Scholarship. And that's about it. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Faith. Are there any questions? Gina?
This is really challenging for me because of the 7 units for the full-time students, so that's not considered full-time. It's not considered full-time for financial aid. It's the amount of fees are in the full-time category, but it is not considered full-time for progress. So can you give me the reason why you're suggesting this?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes, so I spoke with the director of U.S. Veterans. I don't know exactly what his name was, I forgot. But he basically said that it's kind of hard for the veterans to do, veteran students to do a scholarship because they work full-time. So they basically go to school full-time based off of the 7 units and then the 4 units. So he said it was very helpful for people to actually, students to actually apply for these scholarships because they work in full-time.
Gina?
But it's on all the scholarships, not just the veterans.
Faith?
Just so we can have it equalized for all, I did it for all scholarships as well.
Rob?
Can I talk to you directly?
Rob?
Can I just speak? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just curious if you could explain a little more about what brings you pause and why we're looking to sort of limit the potential for some of these folks to actually access these scholarships. Just curious.
Gina?
So I think, one of our big tenets is progress. And acknowledging the opportunity to slow down while it acknowledges all students who may be going through different things in their life also gives a nod to the fact that we're not supporting progress. We're doing, on the other end, at the university, we're doing everything we can to put money at more grants to make progress, take more units in summer, take more units during, there's provost grants. We're working against this general tenet. And while I see both sides of it, I'm really struggling with what does it state? It states, we recognize some of you cannot be here full time. And we'll use the financially full time because we know that 12 units doesn't get you out in 4, right? So we have a finish in 4 tenet. We have a progress tenet. We want to make sure folks are doing that. And we yet recognize that there's a whole group of people who don't do it. So we're conflicting with ourselves in that. And when it comes to a scholarship, it's one of those ways that we're saying, hey, work less, get our scholarship, although I know $500 doesn't make all that much difference when it comes to work or not work, maybe a little bit. But it's back to, hey, work less and get our scholarship, or don't work less and get our scholarship and slow down and take 6 years or 7 years and 8 years to complete. I don't know. It's a sticky problem. But I think it's in direct conflict of some of the other things we're trying to do to actually do the opposite, which is make progress and take more units, which has been shown to save you money in the long run, and also that if you do that and you do it intentionally, that you can be successful in doing it. Not everybody that take a lot of units struggle and don't get good grades. So there's a lot going on here that is really challenging, but for just the sake of not being philosophical about it, I think you should amend. I move to amend all the language that says full-time students before the parentheses undergraduate 7 units be changed to just registered students, and then state the units, because 7 units is not full-time.
So the amendment leaves the unit count, okay. Your amendment is just to strike out full-time students and replace it. Your amendment is to strike out full-time and insert registered. That's it, you don't want to change anything else.
My amendment is to change in each of these words right before it states the units. So it would be on 4 on this one, but it's on different places throughout the resolution. So each place, in a similar place of this one, number 4 I'm looking at, registered, strike as full-time and just registered students. From each of the places where it states in a similar way that statement, as full-time, take out as well. Applicants must be registered students. That's my amendment.
Oh, second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there, where is there?
Any discussions?
Are there any discussions
Yeah,
on the amendment?
I'd like to say just.
Rob?
I just want to thank Gina for bringing this up, and I recognize the contradiction. I recognize the struggle. I also recognize that we are trying to be inclusive of folks who, for a number of external factors, cannot make it as a full-time student in their current life experience. And we shouldn't be denying them an opportunity, especially if they're financially struggling. But we do need to be consistent, and we do need to be aware of the other divisions, departments who are working so hard to bring access and opportunity to folks. So I really do appreciate this sort of creative workaround, and I think that by striking out as full-time, you get around the issue. However, I would encourage not rushing a resolution like this if there's still more room for discussion, and it doesn't have to happen today. That's just my recommendation.
Samantha?
I do want to add that this aligns with what it is to run for one of these positions. So we all had to meet these eligibility requirements in terms of units. I wanted to put that out there. And I know you said we don't want to rush it, but it needs to be done in order to be in effect for the next board. And also it's our last meeting. But also we have working board, and Faith did try many times to get feedback from the board, and this was her conclusion, so I just want to respect that as well. But yeah.
Faith?
I also wanted to point out that students would have to complete a semester in order to apply for these scholarships, so I feel like there's students who are working hard. So there's so many students who are freshmen who didn't want to apply to the scholarship, so it does help students just based off helping with the units, but it's students who are working hard. As you can tell, they have to complete a semester in order to apply for these scholarships. I just wanted to point that out here.
Garima?
Just to bring in a perspective, or just to try and understand, we did the 7 units to include the students who are working full-time but are not being full-time students. So if I understand correct, for the most part, if you're not in a special category of out-of-state or an international student, the fee remains same from 7 units to 12 units. So most likely the students will be taking at least 12 units to actually also qualify for financial aid. So my question is basically, are we actually reaching the target audience with just reducing the units from 12 to 7 instead of reducing it to 6? Because that's when we reach out to the students who are part-time students and full-time employees.
Faith?
I kind of got confused with your question. No, this is full-time students, not full-time workers that we're speaking of. And just based off of the Dreamer scholarships and the Veteran scholarships, these were the least scholarships that we usually get. And I feel like changing the units will allow more students to have an opportunity to apply for these scholarships. But can you reiterate your question?
So if a student, I understand that 7 is not considered full-time, but if a student is enrolled in 7 units or 12 units, the fee remains the same. So students try to enroll in 12 units, so they also qualify for other grants. So if I understand the reasoning correct behind reducing the units from 12 to 7, it's to target the audience who might be full-time employees and not taking full classes, or are not being full-time students, right? Because they are working. And if that's the case, then they are going to be part-time students, which will be 6 units or less, so that they can pay less tuition.
Gina?
So I would respectfully disagree in that I've worked in an office where I saw this a lot. So you're going to see students typically granted in a 6, a 9, or a 12 situation, but they're doing it for a variety of reasons. The reason you're going to see 7 is that if you have a lab class, you've gone from a part-time to a full-time fee band, right? So that's where 7 units will kick in, especially if that's all you need. Students don't always then strive for the 12. If I'm already taking 7, I'm going to take 12 just because I'm paying the same amount. That happens with some, but students don't usually make those decisions unless there's something else life going on. So we see lots of students taking 9. We see students taking 7 if they might have a lab class or a supplemental or something else that adds a unit on, a kinesiology class. So we do see students in those groups, and there is limited aid that's available to them. There's loans that are available to them, and then there's also reduced Pell. So there's ways to be in these other unit groups that this would help, honestly. But people make those decisions for a variety of different reasons, not always I'm paying this amount, I'm going to go ahead and just go for 12 or whatever. If they can, they do, and I hope they do because they make better progress. But students don't make those kinds of decisions, they make them on life.
Thank you. Are there any further comments, questions? We can vote on this amendment. All in favor of the recent amendment, please raise your hand. (15) in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Hearing none, the amendment is passed. Now moving on to the main motion. Are there any further questions, any discussions? Hearing none, we can move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving 2021/2022, please raise your hand. Oh, sorry. All those in favor of approving 2021-2022 5149 Soltero Operating Rule Change 400.11 ASI Scholarship Committee, please raise your hand. (15) All those opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been approved. Now moving on to the next item. Will be 2021-22 5150 Elizalde Soltero, allocation of additional alternative transportation funds for Peak Adventures electric bike discount program. Please, is there a motion? Samantha?
I move to approve 2021-22 5150 Elizalde Soltero, allocation of additional alternative transportation fund for Peak Adventures electric bike discount program.
Okay.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha?
So as stated during the last meeting, from the previous legislation that we passed in the beginning of January, the first allocation, we've sold 10 of the 20 discounts. So if you don't know, we were providing $500 discounts on electric bicycles. And so far it's been pretty successful, but I want to allocate an additional $10,000 from the Alternative Transportation Fund to fund an additional 20 bikes to sell throughout the summer, but also throughout the fall semester. And this will just support the program for a little bit longer. And I think this is important because students get their financial aid at the beginning of the semester or during the summer. They'll hopefully have more money to buy these, but I just want to benefit this program a little bit longer.
Are there any further discussions and questions? Gina?
I just want to state this is a great use of the Alternative Transportation Fund. This is a really great program that Peak is doing, and I absolutely support it.
Thank you, Gina. Any other questions, any other comments? Hearing none, we can move on to a vote. All those in favor of 2021-2022 05150 allocation of additional alternative transportation funds for Peak Adventures electric bike discount program, please raise your hands. (15) in favor, please lower your hands. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, it has been approved. Now we will be moving on to 2021-22 5151 Elizalde Budani Soltero allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.3.1 partner with sustainability department and stakeholders on initiative. Is there a motion? Samantha?
I I move to approve 2021-22-05-151 Elizalde Burani Soltero allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.3.1 partner with sustainability department and stakeholders on initiative.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha?
So again, for this one, this is just to expand on our Don't Litter Our River campaign, to create signage, temporary signage to put up during grad season, so at the end of the fall semester, at the end of the spring semester, to discourage the use of confetti and microplastics and litter because of the impact that it has on our waterways and our wildlife. So I am asking for an allocation up to $1,200 to purchase signage to place near popular photo spots and campus. And as stated during the last meeting, there was an ask to put recommended photo areas just so it's official in the legislation. So it would be at the 2 Sacramento signs at both ends of campus. That's going to be up to whoever puts them up as to which 2 out of 3 it goes on. But I heard there's a popular one. And then it would go on the Guy West Bridge and Library Quad. So as stated previously, signage is a big issue on campus. Not issue, well, it's like a controversial topic in a way as to where it's put, where it can be. It also has to follow ADA guidelines. I'm sorry, Tammy, I don't know what ADA stands for, but American Disabilities Act. So, and so it's not blocking anybody that may need the space to go. Thank you. I'm still in conversations trying to get a hold of facilities. I have not had a response back, but I do have a meeting with President Nelson soon to see if he's supportive of this, to kind of pass it down so we can get this done. But I did add a clause that if this funding is not used by the end of the 22-23 fiscal year, let's say it's not successful, we're not able to put the signage up where we'd like, that it would be returned to the ASI General Fund next year, just so that money isn't sitting there and, it doesn't just sit there in the abyss. This would cost, $1,200. I got the quote from Student Engagement and Outreach to see how much it would be. And the next thing, so there's a little issue with how much we thought we had left in the strategic priority funds. And if everything were to pass how we did, we would go be negative. $641, is that correct? So, after discussion with advisors, they have approved to add another clause in this. And I think I have to make the amendment first before I go into discussing it, right? I'd like to make I move to amend the legislation to add in the recommendation $641 will be used from administrative budget to fulfill this if needed, so we can account for that portion that is being missed, and we don't have to take away from the amazing other pieces of legislation that are going through today. So
is that all of your amendment? It's very lengthy.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. No. Just sorry. I kept talking. I need to wait. My amendment is to add to the recommendation that $641 will be taken from the administrative budget to fund if necessary.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha?
So y'all heard me. I'm sorry, I kept talking after. But yes, so it's been approved by our advisors, and I've talked about it with Faith. So if needed, let's say this does go through, we would be able to get from another pot to fully fund this. So yeah.
Are there any other questions? If not, then we will be voting on the amendment. All those in favor of Samantha's amendment, please raise your hand. 15 in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the amendment has been approved. Now moving back to the main motion. Are there any further discussions or questions? Seeing none, we can move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving 2021-22-05-151, allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.3.1, partner with Sustainability Department and stakeholders on initiative, please raise your hands. 15 in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been approved. Now moving on to 2021-22-5152, Elizalde Maddox Soltero, allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.2, support the Anchor University initiative. Is there any motion? Samantha?
I move to approve 2021-22-5152, Elizalde Madrid Soldero allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.2 support the Anchor University initiative.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Samantha?
Just realized this is my last motion as president. I got a little sad. I'm getting tired. The feelings are coming.
Don't you have the next one?
Don't you have 153?
No, that's not me. Technically, that's not me, but
Okay.
I can. All right, so this one, we talked about it, Faith and I, and as she got some feedback from the board on this, we decided to allocate or change the legislation to pull from the social justice scholarship to add $1,000 to this one. So it'll be up to $2,000. After talking with Valerie Regner, who oversees the ASI Peak Adventures Challenge course, she said $1,000 is totally doable to put on some type of open climb with the K through 12 school districts, and thankfully they already have connections with the school districts and different teachers, so it's something very doable that they could do, and she's in full support of this. And I said 1,000 because the other 1,000 would be allocated, or up to 1,000 would be allocated to the Aquatic Center. I talked to Brian Dolger from the Aquatic Center, and thankfully they have received or are applying to a, is it received? Oh, received a scholarship for boater safety and waterway safety. I'm so sorry, I'm not on the water ever. Sandra will explain more. But yeah, so they received a scholarship to kind of do these kinds of initiatives with kids to show them the safety of, the water, wearing a life jacket, what to do in a situation where somebody's drowning, etc. So he said this funding will align perfectly with what they already want to do in the next semester, and he's in full support of this as well. And I told him that, we would need to do this by the next academic year. They could see it being done because I did add the clause to this one as well, that if the funds is not used by the end of the 22-23 fiscal year, that it will be returned to the ASI general fund. And all of this would support, ASI being a part of the Anchor University initiative, because we are allowing opportunities for, K through 12 school districts to engage with our program and get to know who we are. And hopefully there'll be a future Hornet and be ASI. So super supportive of this, and it would be, for clarification, reserving $2,000 in the next year's budget to support the Anchor University initiative between ASI, Peak Adventures, and the Aquatic Center.
Are there any questions? Sandra?
Thank you. I fully support this. I did know that I saw the emails from Valerie supporting the cost of what it would cost to hold post and open time to pay all the wages, so completely doable. And as well, the grant that the Aquatic Center receives every year is from DBOB, the Department of Boating and Waterways, and includes a portion, and the state of California is generous because it allows them to buy equipment for the Aquatic Center, but it also provides funding to bring K-12 students in buses to do a day at the Aquatic Center where they get to recreate as a field trip. And we unfortunately haven't had it done for 2 years because of COVID, but we're hoping to restart that program in the next academic year. So I'm very excited that these funds, because then he can add more staff or provide more games and programming for this $1,000 will provide a little bit more flexibility for where he brings those school buses of children. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we will be moving on to vote. All those in favor of 2021-22, Gina?
Getting a little
I'm getting ahead of myself.
All those in favor of 2021-22-5152, Elizalde Natick Soltero, allocation of strategic priority funding for 4.2, support the Anchor University initiative, please raise your hand. (15) in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the motion has been passed. Now moving on to our last piece of new business, 2021-22-5153, Elizalde Carr Soltero, allocation of strategic priority funding to the ASI Social Justice Scholarship. Is there a motion? Faith?
I move to approve 2021-2022-05-153 allocation of strategic priority funds for ASI Social Justice Scholarship.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any discussions? Faith?
Yes. So let me give a background. So each year the ASI board is given $7,500 to use to fulfill their strategic priorities that the board decides early in the year. This year, with the remaining balance, we are allocating up to $1,000 to fund an additional semesters to the Social Justice Scholarship. It is our mission to provide experiential learning, leadership opportunities, and support students for our growing community. The ASI Scholarship will help enforce this mission by providing additional financial support for academic endeavors for students. I am recommending to support students financially, we recommend to use a portion of the leftover fund balance to provide an additional 4 semesters of the ASI Social Justice Scholarship. This scholarship will be an amount of $500 for each semester to support Sacramento State students and recognize their advocacy on anti-racism and social justice issues. I also wanted to point out right now we have a current 5 years of social justice scholarship, so we will add an additional year if we were to pass this legislation.
Are there any discussions, questions? Samantha?
I know you mixed up, but at the end you just said it right, but it is an additional 2 semesters, not 4 semesters. That was the previous one. But you have it right in the legislation here. And it'll fund an additional year. So you were right with that. So we would have a total of 6 years for the scholarship, but that does not limit future boards to keep adding to the scholarship. Or let's say we get a donor that loves the scholarship and wants to fund it later on. Hopefully that's me in 5 years. I can donate all the money. But this does not stop this from keeping it going. So yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to voting our last business item. All those in favor of voting for 2021-22-5153, Elizalde Carr Soltero, allocation of strategic priority funding to the ASI Social Justice Scholarship, please raise your hand. (15) in favor, please lower your hand. Any opposed, please raise your hand. Seeing none, the last piece of motion of 2020, the last piece of legislation for 2021/2022 has been approved. Now we will be moving on to ASI College Director Report. And this is going to be our last time hearing what the directors have been up to.
3 minutes. 3 minutes to report, 1 minute. 3 minutes total.
So because we are on a time crunch, we'll be having the ASI reports for 3 minutes. If you want to ask any questions, do it at the celebration. Now we will be starting with Director of Arts and Letters, Aladria Brown. You have 3 minutes.
Oh, we usually save the best for last, but I guess I'll go first. So, dear Hornets, we are in the end game, and this is my final board report. Me and the rest of the board have said it really does go by quick. It feels like I got sworn in just yesterday. All of us should be very proud of how far we have come and where we are going. If no one has said it yet, students, please make an academic advising appointment. I have heard many stories this entire academic year of students needing one more class to graduate and it not being available. To avoid this awful situation happening to you, you can either drop into Lassen Hall, room 1013, or use this link, won't say the link, to make an appointment. Trust me, even if you do it yourself, there is nothing like a second pair of eyes to make sure. I will leave you with the wisdom from August Wilson. Have a belief in yourself that is bigger than anyone's disbelief. Take charge of the little moments, Aladria. So, we have all been very busy, but a lot of things have been happening. ASI Scholarship Committee completed. That was a lot. I wish Faith was in here so I could shout her out, but did an amazing job. Green and Gold Planning Committee, we're meeting May 18th. State Hornets Publications Board, we found a new editor-in-chief, and we met April 25th. Student Affairs, Dean of Students Search Committee, we met May 10th, and done going through the applications, and we're going to have on-campus interviews very, very soon at the end of May. Strategic priorities I'm a part of. We're collaborating with the Alumni Center and Association and other campus partners. 1.1.1, collaborated with ASI Anniversary completed, so that was a double priority, double dipper there. Host an alumni panel to support the 65th anniversary of ASI past presidents and employees happened April 26th. Not a big date there. 1 to 3 at the Pacific Suites completed. Advocate for culturally competent and diverse mental health counselors. I really, this is a really big priority for me. It really meant a lot. We had a couple of hiccups and we had to keep rescheduling, but we met with them May 6th, this past Friday, with the counseling staff. We asked questions, expanded the staff. They're expanding the staff very soon. They want to meet with the board at least once a semester now, from now on. And we learned about the hiring process, so I just want to say, like, I really hope that the next board takes this into consideration and keeps this going and does meet with them. I will be putting it in my end of the year report. And yeah, that's really all I wanted to highlight in my report. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Aladria. And now we will be moving on to Director of Business, Corelli Rivera.
So hello Hornets. Let me do my little special note. So hello Hornets, this is my last board report as Director of Business for this academic year. It's really kind of sad. 2021-2022, it has been my absolute pleasure serving the student body, especially the students in the College of Business. This experience has pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it has helped me grow as an individual in ways I never thought possible. I would like to thank all the people from the ASI Government Office who helped me smoothly transition into this role, along with the members of the Office of Student Engagement in Tahoe Hall that have been an amazing support system. I'm so glad to have been involved with ASI for my last year at Sac State. It has really been an amazing experience. So now that the end of the semester is just around the corner, let's make sure to stay focused on getting those finals done, making sure to be prepared, so study and take enough breaks in between. Remember to stay well fed and have plenty of sleep, so that's key. All of you should be seriously proud of all that you have accomplished, whether it's your first year here at Sac State or your last. Celebrate all your wins and remember, it truly always gets better. Best wishes always, and stingers up, Corelli. So I would just like to highlight my strategic priorities. For all of them, they have been completed, which I'm like so excited about that. And I would just like to highlight some of them, like for example, the ASI 65th year anniversary celebration. I was able to attend and volunteer and, clean up. It was just amazing seeing like students engage and just, having a little bit of time to celebrate and just have a good time. As for like office hours and things that I've been working on, I've been working really hard to just like focus all my efforts on finding a director of business for next year, since as of now, somebody's going to be elected, hopefully, into the position. So I've been working with Bonnie, which is the director of the Office of Student Engagement, and just kind of building collateral so she can help promote that once the application opens up in the summer. So I've been working on that and my end of year report and transitional report. And a key event that I'd like to highlight that I was able to attend and participate in was the Admitted Students Day. So I was able to be a part of that in Tahoe Hall. So I was able to just meet new Hornets that are coming and just giving them just insight on what ASI is and what we do for students, and just being kind of like that gateway of information that they didn't know of, and just sharing my experience as a student. It was really nice just getting to meet some of them and just sharing that. And yeah, that's it for me, and you can see the rest of my report online as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll be moving on to the Director of Education, Victor Payne.
Hello, fellow Hornets. As my time in office draws to a close, I want to emphasize how much of an honor it was to serve as an ASI College Director and the College of Education Student Representative. I also want to emphasize that my work doesn't finish here. I'm always eager to assist others. If someone needs support or assistance or anything, I'm always available. I've already started work in tandem with the Director of Education-elect to prepare him for the upcoming 2022-23 academic year. As you can see the picture of me and Z and the Dean of College of Education. I have full support and faith in his ability to serve the students of Sacramento State. Please continue to let me know if there's anything else I can do to support you as we are nearing the end of our spring 2022 semester. It's been an honor to serve you all. For my committees, those committees are pretty much done. Grade appeals that's been finalized and closed. For institutional scholarship, I finished reviewing all 77 applications. Student Success Outcomes and Retention Committee, there's no updates, and my designee, Candace Fowler Richardson, was able to go to the Advisory Council for the College of Education. As I mentioned in the past meetings, this was the committee for the anti-racism blueprint, so this was pretty important. If you look at her notes, you can see what she did, and there's also a sheet of what my college has done and what actions they need to continue to take, if you want to take a look at that as well. For current projects, I'm in the middle of 2 projects right now, and it's kind of a bummer that I'm leaving. So hopefully my successor can finish it. I'm working with some staff in the College of Education to do a project to support men of color in the College of Education, especially in the Teaching Credentials program. There's only 10% of us in the past 5 years, and it's continuing. So we want to work on a way to motivate them through their scholarship mentorship program. That's still in the works right now, and I'm working with the faculty on that. I'm also working with my associate dean, Karen O'Hara, on graduation application fair to support graduation. People don't know that they can apply to graduate sooner than they think, and so we're working on having a waiver fee for that as well, maybe even next year. My successor can do that. For office hours, I've been working with the dean and talked to them and all the staff that I've talked to and my successor. I'm working on my end of the year reports as well. I want to point out one event that I went to in April, the San Coso cultural event that Sam kind of got me in. I thought it was pretty cool. It was really, it was a good refresher. I've taken that class before, but it was pretty good to review about what culture is, what my identity is. It's kind of hard to, it was easier to forget, It's good to refresher. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Now moving, feel free. Now moving on to the Director of Engineering and Computer Science, Garima Sharma.
All right, hello Hornets. Walking around campus, it is amazing seeing a lot of you taking your graduation pictures. So congratulations once again, and I wish you all the very best for your future. To everyone else, you are doing great, so keep doing the amazing work that you have been doing. It has been an absolute pleasure serving as an ECS Director for this semester. I hope you know that you are always welcome to ask questions and reach out with any concerns that you might have. I want to wish you all good luck on your finals. Best ready or not. A few things I would like to highlight is committees are pretty much complete. Institution Scholarship Committee was completed. Then they added one more scholarship to it recently, so I guess I'll finish it this week. Other than that, a few things I would like to highlight would be some updates within the college. I know everything is listed here, but there have been a few things that we are working with as ECS clubs and everything, as we all are collaborating. And usually ECS clubs are not active over the summer, but we have worked together to actually be part of orientation so that we can get more ECS students involved, because ECS students are not necessarily as involved in clubs and organizations within the department, and there have been only a few students who are part of clubs. So we will be able to work with department chairs and potentially present in every major advising session on every engineering orientation day. We also saved a table for specifically ECS clubs to be able to table throughout orientation, which is exciting. So I'll be working on that Excel and spreadsheet even after the role, I guess, to make sure that all the ECS clubs get a chance to table over the summer. That is June, July, and August. Other than that, we just finished our joint council elections, and it is a full board, and we added an expo position, which is expo chair, which was something that used to happen, and last expo event that happened in our department was in 2019. So that is something that we have already started working on and plan to continue and bring it back, revive it, and I'll be doing that as the ECS Joint Council President for the next year. So I'll continue what I've started, and hopefully with the support of the future ECS Director. Other than that, search committee, I am sitting on the search committee, and we are the part of reviewing the draft, which is a long draft, but it is pretty much finalized. Yeah, I guess for class presentations, I was thinking that we are doing class presentations, but since going in person was part, but I thought that we are kind of excluding the classes that are virtual and especially asynchronous ones. So I took a chance to record a class presentation and send it out to all the computer science classes that are asynchronous, so that even if the students is fully virtual, they are not missing out. So that was sent out and requested to present as Canvas announcements or emails.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Now moving on to Director of Health and Human Services, Colton Maddox.
Hello everyone. Congratulations on nearing the end of the semester. Study hard, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. I cannot believe we're already at the end of the semester and academic year. It's been an honor to serve as the Director of HHS this past year. And I want to say congratulations to all graduating Hornets. You all have worked very hard to achieve this very special moment coming up. If you need any support during this time, please reach out to myself or a fellow board member. We're still here to assist you. With commencement happening soon, there are still free self-test COVID tests at the food pantry, thanks to the Office of Administration and Business Affairs. If you or a family needs a test kit for travel reasons, please visit the ASI food pantry to grab one. I would like to say that my last office hours will be this Friday, but if you need to meet any time outside of that, please send me an email. Most of my committees are completed and finished meeting for the semester. Some notable updates would be the Health and Human Services Joint Council had their final meeting, and their Jeopardy academic specific event collaboration went very well. We had a good good and they are self-sustaining at this point and are now ready to welcome the new director of HHS and get a good running start next semester. Most of my work in April was on the HHS Dean Search Committee. We held many Zoom interviews as well as in-person interviews 2 weeks ago. That committee is complete now. Our recommendations were submitted, and there's more work to be done for that committee. Strategic priority updates. 1.2.1 is now complete. Jeopardy night was fun. It was a great turnout of students. There are still COVID tests available at the food pantry. We had a total of 2,700 COVID tests donated by the Office of Administration and Business Affairs. So huge shout out to them for helping us with that and helping our students out. Office hours, I met with the incoming director of HHS to help transition him into the role. I think he will do a great job serving our students, and I look forward to the ideas that he brings. next semester and the following. Some events noteworthy, I helped distribute COVID tests at the pop-up pantry events, as well as at the Basic Needs Resource Fair. ASI 65th celebration events were fun to attend and had great turnouts. And then I helped interview 3 HHS Dean candidates. And then I participated in the Sac State 5K Fun Run, and shout out to California Nursing Students Association for being the largest team at the event. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Colton. Now we'll be hearing from the Director of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, Isha Pindle.
Hello Hornets, I hope all of you are doing well and taking care of yourselves as we gear up for finals week. This year has flown by in the blink of an eye, and I'm full of bittersweet emotions while writing this report because I cannot believe it's going to be my last one. I'm so grateful for all the ways that I have grown during this journey, and so thankful to everyone who has been a part of it. This experience will always hold a special place in my heart. I wish you all a healthy, happy, and successful life ahead, and as always, fingers up. As for internal committees, the Student Wellness, Safety and Sexual Assault Awareness Committee, we basically promoted campus events related to student wellness and sexual assault prevention, including the Out of Darkness Walk, Take Back the Night, Denim Day, and May as Mental Health Awareness Month. For the University Committee updates, for the APIDA Center Planning Committee, the committee met on April 18th. We discussed program initiatives and services that students want the APIDA Center to provide. The center is scheduled to open in fall 2022 in Lassen Hall, and they're currently hiring APIDA Center program assistants and peer leaders. This was the last meeting of the semester, and the committee will now convene in fall. Grade appeals, that's completed. There were 3 appeals to be evaluated. For strategic priorities, let's say yes, they are completed. For the campus events, one which I would like to highlight is the ASI 65th Anniversary Alumni Panel. The women on these panels were so inspirational and influential, and just hearing from them, at least personally for me, through this event, I was able to clarify a lot of questions, doubts that I had about my about my future path, and I was also able to get the right direction and mentorship, so that was really impactful to me. As for the NSM Academic Council, the council is currently working on creating a diversity, equity, and inclusion working group to aid in the college better aligning with the university on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some faculty are concerned about the higher drop-fail withdrawal rates in their classes this semester compared to pre-pandemic numbers, and the council has heard testaments to pandemic learning from faculty and student perspectives. This is an issue that is actively being looked at by the council, and discussions will continue to find the best way to lower these numbers and provide
30 seconds.
And faculty the support needed to improve learning as the transition from pandemic online learning back to in-person setting. And no new updates for the joint council. Thank you.
Thank you, Isha. Now moving on to the Director of Social Sciences and Interdisciplinary Studies, Laura de la Garza Garcia.
So I believe my time is shortened because it was late, and it was my first board report that was late, and I want to apologize for that. Life happens.
There's no shortening.
Oh, there's no time? Okay, awesome then. Well, life happens, that's why I was turned in late. And with that being said, a couple things that I kind of highlight on my note to my Hornets is that, don't forget where you come from. Don't forget, who was there for you, who helped you, I guess build you up. And that's just something that I have carried on with me throughout, honestly, I cannot remember, but it's just something that I always keep in mind, and I encourage everybody that's graduating, going down to like the quote-unquote real world, real workforce, to just don't forget where you come from. Some of the things to highlight, strategic priorities, those are a lot of fun. When I finally made it back to campus, it was, I wanted to really get involved, and being involved with ASI was definitely an honor, and there was, I couldn't have asked for anything more. I mean, we did one of my favorite priorities that I wanted to highlight was the podcast, which has come to an end. It's definitely something that I enjoyed. I never thought that I would be, with a group of individuals hosting a podcast, so that was a lot of fun, out of my comfort zone, and it definitely sparked another passion that I didn't know I had. I've been starting to, kind of bullet point for my transition report. I've met with my
next SSIS director, which I know she's going to do a wonderful job. I gave her some pieces of advice. And one event that I attended that was very, very fun to just see the energies and see how people were interacting is the event yesterday, which was the Hive event. It was pretty much supporting small student businesses. And I think as a Sacramento State community, we should always be supporting each other as students. And that was definitely like a way to, I guess, bring that student community together and seeing everybody interact and, share ideas. And I'm sorry, that was pretty fun. And unfortunately, like I said, it's a little bit short because I was out sick last week. So, whatever happened last week, I was sick in bed. I appreciate everybody's messages because that definitely made my days in bed a lot better. So thank you for that. And that about does my board report. Thank you. It was an honor to serve with each and every one of you. I look forward to next year and what everybody else does in the future via Instagram, I'm hoping.
Thank you, Laura. And now we will be hearing from the Director of Undeclared students, through Bishop Butani.
Okay. Fellow Hornets, I hope you all are studying hard because of finals and staying hydrated. Don't forget to drink water. This is my last board report as the Director of Undeclared Students, and I want to appreciate how being part of ASI has highly impacted my life. I'm not going to cry. Don't do it. I'm trying. I have met and collaborated with people around the campus, which would not be possible if I wasn't part of ASI. It's because the next line is, as an international student who misses home, ASI has made me feel like family, and I would not trade it for anything else. I'm sorry.
Yeah, twinkle time.
I'm sorry.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
We love you. It's okay.
This is a very special time for many of us.
Yeah.
So it's okay to feel an end of a sense of relief, a sense of celebration, and we're all here in this room together. We've all experienced this one experience called ASI. We've held each other through the ups and our downs. And it's on the website.
It's on the website. It's okay, sister.
Do you want to continue or? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And now we will be moving on to our last board report, and it will be going to Director of Graduate Studies, Ezra Cabrera.
Hi everyone. So it's bittersweet writing my last report with ASI. I've learned so much about what it takes to be a student leader and to create change for students on such a larger scale. I never thought I'd be in this position, but I'm so glad I took a chance and just applied. I hope to translate some of the skills I've learned in ASI to my future career, as I'm graduating in a couple weeks with my master's in sociology. Even though it was strange at times being virtual due to COVID and with all the changes on the university level regarding the pandemic, we made it through. I couldn't be more thankful to have met such an amazing group of student leaders who are so driven and determined to make positive change in our community and beyond. And a huge congrats to the new ASI Board of Directors. So, just make it short and sweet. Wrapped up on all of the communities. Strategic priorities are all done. And going down to event calendar, I think I bolded a couple that I wanted down below that I wanted to highlight. So breaking out of the box was something really special. I also saw Love Preet there, and I thought it was really cool seeing I haven't been in a space where they're talking of two men. A lot of men were in the room about masculinity and toxic masculinity and challenging what it means to be man in this world. So I really enjoyed the conversation. I thought it was really important. So, and also the event with the Hive yesterday was really successful. I got some yellow pants. It was really cool. So, yeah, thank you everyone. It was a pleasure and an honor being here with everybody.
Thank you, Ezra. And with that, we are done with our board years for the 2021/2022 2022 school year. Now we will be going on to announcements. If there are any announcements, please raise your hand. Bill?
A couple of quick things. Sunday, if you go to the res halls, we're doing late night breakfast beginning at 10 p.m. I took part in that last semester. It is awesome. The place had a line all the way around the dining commons. We're changing the structure to hopefully get people through a little more effectively this time. But would love to see those of you in the res halls there. And then Monday through Wednesday, we're going to be, my office is overseeing Finals Friends. So for those students that are going to be studying late night, for sure in the art, possibly in the union, and if we have enough snacks in the library, we'll be distributing snacks and words of encouragement to students who are cramming for finals from 9 to 10 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in those spaces. So just wanted to let you know what was going on and wish you all the absolute very best on finals. Please take care of yourselves. Please wear masks if you're around groups. A lot of stuff happening. Please take care of yourselves so that you can finish strong and enjoy commencement. Or just be done with finals and enjoy summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Rob?
Not really an announcement, just a comment. This is my first year on the ASI board, and I came in a little late, but I wanted to thank each and every one of you for welcoming me and allowing me to offer some tidbits of advice here and there for you and your leadership journey and development. Laura, you said, don't forget where you come from, and I went to the Pan-African commencement ceremony. I also went to the Lavender commencement ceremony, and this through line sort of theme is that you all represent the hope and dream of every person that came before you and your family. Whether you are a first-generation student or a long line of college graduates, whether you are graduating this year or continuing on, every step you've made here is a piece of the legacy, what it means to be made at Sac State. And it also is sort of a responsibility you have, because every person who dreamed of you way back before you were even around is having that dream fulfilled now, which means that every person that comes after you is going to need you to remember them as you take your next steps forward. So I just want to say congratulations, and I'm so incredibly proud to know each and every one of you and your passions and the things that you worked really hard to achieve, not just for yourself, but for the Hornet community. And I hope, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So good luck to you all, and congratulations on a wonderfully successful year.
Thank you, Rob, for that. That was so touching and sweet. Are there any other announcements? I have a couple. So, to kind of wrap up the last of my events, on Thursday and Friday at the Library Quad from 11:30 to whenever I'm free, to 1, I will be in the pod having students make biodegradable confetti. I think that there is just a lot of mess that has been recently done, especially in various areas, such as the fountain. And I want students to at least be educated and know that there's different avenues, especially avenues that are more helpful and sustainable to the environment, especially to Sacramento State's environment. And before we end, I just want to say thank y'all so much to the board. This has been a crazy experience. And due to everyone here, I was able to grow as a leader and was able to know that with each and every struggle, passion, and collaboration with people on the board, I grew as a person, so thank you. And now moving to Samantha for her final announcements.
I actually have few announcements. So if you're serving on a search committee, Lisa sent you an email to let her know the status of it, and if you're going to be serving on it through the summer, that's really important for her to know and keep track of. Make sure you check out with Lisa in terms of returning your keys, logging out of your emails, your Instagram accounts. But before you check out of your Instagram accounts, please do some cute sign out of things you accomplished, highlighting your term and just saying goodbye to your Instagram and passing it on to the new person. Sadly, you will no longer have access to it. Another thing, good luck on finals. As of now, as you saw, we used more than the strategic priorities, like to the T. We used all of them, so you should really be proud of yourself that we put them all to good use. I sent an email on strategic priority edits, so please be sure to get that back to us so we can create the final report and send it to Sandra. And thank you all. I can't even, I don't have words. First of all, because I've dedicated 3 years of my life to this board, and it shaped me into the person I am today, and I don't think it's hit me yet that I'm done. But thank you to each and every single person that, has helped me in my journey. I know all of you have watched me grow so much. So thank you, everybody, and mic drop.
Now, are there any more announcements? Aladria?
I have a message from Corinne. She just wanted to say she's so proud of all of us, and that, because I talked to her earlier today, and she just wanted me to say during the announcements that she's so proud of all of us, especially you, and she's really sad to see you go, and that she couldn't make it, and that she got into her program, so she will be back around campus, so look for her. And yeah, she's just really proud of all of us, and she wanted me to leave you with that.
Thank you so much, Aladria. Thank you so much, Corinne. Looking up. And with that, we are going to end our board at 4:07 and